Yeah, I still have a few more stuff that I have to finish out my deck with.
What else do you need?
I have Jeweled Lotus, which I now have, but I still need Grim Monolith and Transmute. Transmute Artifact less so. Grim Monolith is like the only big one because I have Power Artifact in it.
Yeah. I just want Transmute Artifact because it's a really good tutor. Probably the best artifact tutor.
It is the best artifact tutor, especially since you can pay the difference, but also if it's less, you don't have to pay the difference.
Exactly. Ooh, somebody followed us.
Oh, thanks you for the follow, Haas00312.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Mate.
1 more minute, then we're ready to go.
1 more minute, and then we're taking off.
Yeah.
To a little Kaladesh airship, apparently.
Oh, the Brothers War, there's been a leak that it's going to have masterpieces, like full-on masterpieces again.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And
no.
that means artifact.
Oh no, my wallet.
They're not going to be Kaladesh masterpieces, but more artifact masterpieces, I'm always down for.
I don't think my wallet is going to survive much longer after that
I
stuff
imagine
comes up.
a Mox Amber masterpiece.
Remember how I had a nice amount saved up for if I actually wanted to move out of this place? Yeah, but now I think I'm going to be stuck here for another 5 years after such comes
I was planning on staying here for 2-3 years.
Yeah. I don't have anything against it. But if I want to buy all those cards.
Exactly. I mean, the next place I'm moving in is with Addie. You with Faith, obviously.
Ooh.
All right.
I'm not moving with Faith. Yeah.
I think we're ready to go.
All right. Okay. So let me not take down the lo-fi too much. It'll be fine right there, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. If there's ever any little ads, I can knock that out. All right. Hey. Hi. Hello. Welcome to the ThePower8Podcast. Bienvenue, me, Power Bottoms, and Power Bottom Nuts, all alike. This is hosted by Gabriel Jansen and
Gavin Hendon.
Yeah, two really smooth dudes who like talking about Magic the Gathering all the time. We talk about it too much, in fact, that we now allow you to use a volume button for us.
Yeah, you can meet us anytime. I recommend it.
Since there are visuals, sometimes it may actually help.
Exactly. So
this is the first episode of our Power8 podcast, Turn 1. Eventually, there will be a Turn 2, Turn 3, and so forth.
Yep.
We are more focused on the commander aspect of the game, which is a 99 card deck. Well, it's a 100 card deck.
Yeah.
It's 99 plus your commander. It's a singleton format, so you only run one of each card, and the only cards you can have multiple of are basic lands unless it says so on the card.
Exactly, and we both have long histories with Magic. Gabe, how long have you been playing?
I've been playing for almost 7 years now.
7 years? It's a hot minute.
Yeah.
Did you start out in the Commander format?
I started out... Yeah, actually, I think I did. I played 60 card at a New Year's party with one of my old friends, and it kind of blossomed from there that I had all the cards, but I had one of each card, and I played 60 card for a little bit, but I always played casual decks.
Yeah.
I played coin flipping, and since that wasn't really a viable legacy deck or anything, I just played with my friends only. But then all the people at school were playing Commander, so I eventually bought into that format, and I've actually still been playing the same Commander that entire time. So, yeah, what about you? How did you start out on it?
I mean, I've been playing for close to 16 years now. Started out, I believe, in 8th edition. It's been a minute. It was one of the ways my mom taught me how to read. And, I didn't start it in any particular format, just kitchen table, and that eventually evolved into playing Modern years and years later.
I remember Modern Merfolk, Gavin. That was the scariest Gavin.
Yeah, and it's been it took me a long time to get into Commander. It's been about 2 years that I've been into the format. I really wouldn't let go of Modern. It's making a comeback, but I've been turned now, and I'm pretty loyal to the Commander format. I think it's the most fun and pure format of Magic.
It's the most social one I've come to find.
Exactly.
It's the only format where you're actually going to talk to your opponents and maybe actually let them win the game sometimes.
I just enjoy the social aspects.
Yeah.
I enjoy that it can range all the way from casual to competitive, and it's still the same format. There isn't really a casual Modern. There's just
No.
tier 2 and above, or you're not really
For
playing
60
modern
card,
at
it
all.
really comes down to, like, are you playing kitchen table or LGS the entire time?
Yeah.
There's nothing outside of that.
Mm-hmm.
There are some groups that are more lenient on certain decks and they'll play test, but if you're playing like an actual like meta modern deck against Squirrel Tribal, you're gonna get schmacked the majority of the time.
Exactly. And Gabe, what is our mission statement for the Power 8 podcast?
Oh, the Power 8 podcast. Alright, so it's been a little taboo in the Magic community to use power levels recently because a number can't truly indicate where your deck is. But for the number 8, we believe that 8 is the perfect number out of all of them because 8 is the point where you can still run any commander you want just at the highest power level of that commander. And of course we're not talking CDH, we're not talking Thrasios Tymna or Urza. We're talking like your Boros Jank Angel deck that you've really pimped out with all the foil lands, you have Mana Crypt in it.
Yeah.
You're showing up to your LGS, and this is the deck you are using to prove that this is your best commander.
Exactly. It's more of a power level for building any commander as powerful as they can be. If you want to build mono white Avacyn, and you manage to put sync time, money, or just, do the math to make it as smooth as possible, that's what I would consider a Power 8 deck.
I would say you could get that Avacyn out on like turn 4 on average. That's better than any other deck could get out in Avacyn. But because your entire deck is tuned to getting out Avacyn and spamming the board with probably little white weenies or big angels, then that's a Power 8 deck. That's your best deck right there that you could possibly have with Avacyn.
Exactly. We just want to create a space that's not CDH and not completely casual. That's for people who want to play powerfully and who want to build the best decks they can with the commanders that they love, not the commanders that they feel they need to play to be competitive.
Just a really nice, calm format where you can just relax, sit down at the table, play your favorite commanders, and as always, argue about how you could have won after the game.
Exactly.
That is a staple of Commander
That
right
is a
there.
staple of our play group.
Oh, I love it. I always flip off the top of my deck and I'm like, oh, yep, I would have drawn that. Oh, that Pact of Negation. Ooh, Gavin, if I had that Pact of Negation.
If I had that Pact of Negation that was 10 cards down, Gavin, I would have won.
Gavin, you damn fool. Giving me 10 more turns and you'd be dust. So that should actually take us right into the topic of the episode. Commanders. We run very different commanders. We play different commanders. Every person has their own style that they like to adhere to. Commander is the most expressive format because you can only run one of each card. You can't just run a play set of what you want. You actually have to figure out or go on to EDH Rec or Lotus Field and see all the best cards for that deck, and you can disagree with them and put in your own little favorite cards for that too.
Exactly, and that's definitely something we do regularly because we both love commanders that are oftentimes lower in popularity. We disagree with the common builds.
Oh, the deck list for my favorite commander, I almost never put any cards that people recommend on EDH Rec into that deck.
You maybe have 20% of the cards at best. It's a very, very...
The majority of those
deck.
are like the mana rocks and like the few big creatures that are just like a must.
Exactly.
So, do you want to get on into it?
I do.
Alright. So, to get off a few honorable mentions, today we are doing the best and worst commanders in the format. Best as in what we view as the most fun to play and what will give you the most bang for your buck when building a deck. Worst is what you're going to sit down at a table, it's going to be a long, drudgy game, and maybe halfway through, you could even lose interest in playing itself.
And a lot of these commanders, the best occasionally will just be definitively the best, not necessarily our favorites. Some commanders are just too good to argue against, and with the least best, most of them are cards that don't really do anything and don't really have a deck to build around.
Alright, so that'll take us into Gavin's first picks for his favorite and least favorite.
These are, and we're going to go by color identity upcoming soon. This is just my favorite commander and my least favorite commander. My favorite is Dolichos, Crafter of Wonders, 1 blue-red, a legendary creature, a Merfolk Artificer. Merfolk is my favorite tribe. He's a 2/4, and he taps to add 2 colorless, spend this mana only to cast artifact spells or activate abilities of artifacts. And its secondary ability, equipped to creatures you control have flying and haste. The flying and haste, really big in the deck. I know equipment is not necessarily the most powerful archetype, but the way I have the deck built, and
it's terrifying.
And we'll go more into it another time, is equipment and artifacts to create an insurmountable amount of card advantage and just value in general. And my creatures that are equipped can't be targeted. They have protection from everything, indestructible,
wonderful sword tribal.
Wonderful sword tribal is essentially what it is, along with a lot of control magic and a lot of ramp. And every creature has some value to offer in the deck. It's a fun list. It is. And my least favorite commander is Zur the Enchanter, which in its favor, it is a super unique commander. It is 1 white, blue, black, legendary creature, human wizard, flying. Whenever Zur the Enchanter attacks, you may search your library for an enchantment card with converted mana cost 3 or less, put it onto the battlefield. If you do, shuffle your library. He is a 1/4, and he is very powerful and has a multitude of build-around options. You could do stacks, you can do Voltron, you can do basically anything. A big reason why I don't like him is because he does a lot of what my commander does, just probably better. At least different. I've mostly played against stacks variations though, and I think it's one of the better stacks commanders, one of the more sleeper stacks commanders, and I just find the deck annoying, too consistent, to just in probably the best colors of Magic outside of green, or at least of Commander.
Yeah, the scariest thing about Zur in general is how budget you can actually make this deck, because a lot of people don't buy stacks pieces because their groups hate them. So when someone does go out to buy stacks pieces, a lot of those enchantment ones, like Energy Flux, oh my, they're like 2 cents a pop. You can make this deck out of whatever you have pocket change wise.
Exactly.
Your friend wants to build a Zur deck, they're gonna roll up with that deck. It's the cheapest thing to build, and then they're not your friend anymore. And you, don't get us wrong, you can build a Zur deck. You're just gonna hop from group to group annihilating. And once you've conquered the world, maybe you might realize that maybe Feldegrif might have been a better build around at that point.
And we love budget commanders and budget decks. We do. We just this is one that's too easy to make mean. We'll go over that with Gabe's least favorite commander as well.
This is one that we personally just really don't play against.
Yeah.
And if we have the option, we just don't play against Zur.
I'm not going to choose to play against Zur.
Yeah.
Anyways, Gabe, take it away.
Oh my. Alright. Muzio, Visionary Architect. This is a 1 mana and 2 blue 1/3 legendary human artificer. And his main ability, the only ability, is you may pay 3 generic, 1 blue, and tap him to look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the highest converted mana cost among artifacts you control. Then you may reveal any artifact from among them and put it onto the battlefield, and then you put the rest on the bottom in any order. Now, I've heard some people read this wrong. You do only put 1 onto the battlefield, but that one is going to be the best of the bunch. You actually get to choose. It can be a land, it can be a Blightsteel Colossus. You are only going to get the best thing out of that pile, and sometimes you do whiff. That is the downside of this deck. It's skill intensive past a certain point. Once you get to a certain point of the build, where you have like a lot of deck manipulation, you're going to have to build around it. But it has a very high end and a very low end. There's nothing in between. It's a lot of fast mana rocks, and then the biggest artifact baddies you can get, and a lot of them I don't even agree with for Muzio for the deck. Well, like, I don't run Blightsteel Colossus anymore. I run Mycos and Golem, I think it's called, because it makes everything have affinity for artifacts, like artifact creatures. So it's more utility. I have a very utility-based, like, toolbox deck for this, and it's definitely my favorite deck to bring to a table, because you can bring it to any table, and you won't win at any table. But if anyone asks who has an answer, you're going to usually be the one to raise your hand in this scenario, because you have so much to work with. You have so many, like, good one-piece solid answers to anything on the board. You just have to find a way to get to it. And that's my favorite part about playing Muzio, is that he's literally just a deck/puzzle box that you have to figure out as you go. when you put stuff on the bottom of your library, you're gonna have to, like, remember the order you put, because you can't put it back in any order. And sometimes, if you know the highest cost artifact in your deck, you will stack one artifact on top of that pile and one on the bottom if you want both, so you're gonna be able to hit both statistically better that way. And just so much to do with him, so much fun, just favorite commander. I've loved him since M15 when I discovered this man existed on the flavor text for Ornithopter, I believe. And yeah, just really fun guy.
Yeah.
Now, the guy I hate. The one who got printed and made me actually question if I wanted to keep Muzio together. It was a very rough time. This threw me for a loop. Urza, Lord High Artificer, possibly one of the most synonymous names with Magic the Gathering. You hear him in stories, you hear players talk about him constantly. He's 2 and 2 blue, so 4 total for a 1/4 legendary creature, Human Artificer. When he enters, you create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token that gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. But wait, you can also tap an untapped artifact you control to add 1 blue, so not only did he just make a giant beater, but also a Mox Sapphire, but there is more. He also has Mind's Desire stapled to his butt, so once you have enough mana from all the things you have got, you can Mind's Desire and possibly get another great artifact that gives you more mana, and you're just gonna loop off with this, and it is too easy to play this deck.
Yeah.
And going from Muzio to play, I played one game with Urza as the commander, and I won. I won so easily. I didn't even try to win that game. It just happens. Like, I was running Mind's Desire in the deck too at that point, and I hit Mind's Desire off of Urza's ability, coincidentally. And just the things that happened following that were the most annoying set of triggers I ever had to deal with. And it was fun playing him because you're winning, but when the dust settles and you realize that you were just sucking on a pacifier the whole time, slapping the battlefield until your biggest rocks dropped out a little drop of water.
Yeah.
It didn't feel worth it at that point.
Exactly. And now both of us do run Urza in the 99 of our decks.
I do.
And the second he hits the board, he does take over games, and I easily could have chosen Urza as my least favorite commander. I considered it, but I knew Gabe would choose it.
Oh, I hate him.
We are going to contradict ourselves a little bit later in the video, because while we do hate Urza, he's too powerful, too pushed. You'll see.
He's good. So let's get right into it. We got our first color of the Wooburg wheel.
Best and least best.
We got the mono white. So for best, you want this one?
Sure. Heliod, Sun Crowned, 2 and a white. This is the best one, by the way. Legendary Enchantment God. Indestructible, as long as your devotion to white is less than 5. Heliod isn't a creature. Whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on target creature or enchantment you control. And then 1 and a white, another target creature gains lifelink until end of turn. He's a 5/5.
So easy to go infinite with this guy.
So easy. And Walking Ballista, it's just any number of things. This commander is insane.
I was talking pacifiers. This is a baby cage round. You can slap your head against any wall and you're gonna win.
Yeah,
you can pull it out.
This commander's so fun and definitively the best white commander in my opinion. Just so much value that the deck creates, and it's probably the only.
There aren't too many like deck paths you can go with it, but the ones you do, this is the best commander hands down for. You got Walking Ballista, Triskelion, I think it's called. Monoskelion, I think it was printed recently. It's just all these cards that can go with one activation of Heliod on that creature. They just go infinite and they're gonna win you the game. This is the deck you play to win, and nothing wrong about it. He's just hands down the best mono white commander.
Yeah, by far. And then Gabe.
Oh, then we got. This card has been in my collection since I started playing Magic. He was a hand-me-down from one of my best friends. And I have never, ever once put him in a deck. I have never given him a chance. I've tried to brew. I have thought of things. I've gone on EDH Rec. Nothing. No good ideas for Cho Mono Revolutionary. 2 white, 4 total. He's a 2/2. Prevent all damage that'd be dealt to Cho Mono Revolutionary. There's nothing good here.
No.
It's a 2/2 for 4, so Kamigawa stats, already. And you prevent all damage that'd be dealt to him. That's cool, but that's just worse Indestructible.
It's worse Indestructible. It's just there's no build around for this card. There's no build path.
There are no mono white board wipes that deal damage either.
No, you're already stuck in mono white, and this commander just doesn't do anything to support the 99 at all, or farther a game plan. You're spending 4 mana for a beater. You could go Voltron with the deck, but I don't know why you would.
You could. If you're already clawing at the edge of insanity by playing this, then you may as well just dunk headfirst into it and play your big beater on turn 4 while everyone else is already comboed off by this point. And we're not talking like, these aren't CEDH picks, this is a Power 8 pick. If you really, really want to play Chomano, put in some swords, put in Bonesaw at that point. Like, you can build around them. You just want to put a lot of power on them. Toughness doesn't matter. What is it, Bloodforged Battle Axe?
Bloodforged Battle Axe.
Bloodforged Battle Axe is a star in this deck. Just, there's not too much you can do aside from just put stuff on them and hope for the best, really.
Yeah, it's just not worth the build around. If you're going to try to do Mono White Voltron, do Isamaru easily.
Yeah. Okay, we're at blue.
Alright, this is...
We've cried about Urza enough.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how he's good.
So
just read the card.
We've already read the card.
Yeah.
It's while we don't like that it exists, it is the best mono blue commander by leaps and bounds. You can build it with basically no budget, just throwing a ton of janky 0 mana artifacts, and you basically already have a deck. It's a flavor one as well. It's one of the most legendaries.
It's fit that it'd be him.
Magic's history, and he's just too good to not put as the best mono blue commander, unfortunately.
Basically, in the words of every Urza player, goo goo gaga, ribbit, bleh.
Yeah, that's
you have to agree with it.
Mm-hmm,
exactly. You just can't get past that.
There's no argument.
No argument.
And Gabe?
I pushed Gavin to put this for the worst one because I just... Oh, when I saw this, my blood boiled. I like Sphinxes. I don't talk about it too much, but mono blue beaters I find really cool. This is the mono blue beater that broke my heart. I saw this card spoiled, and when I read it all the way down, for a second I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. And the more I thought about it, the more I just hated this card. So Ormos Archive Keeper is 4 mana, 2 blue, 6 total for a 5/5 with flying. If you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, instead, so you don't lose the game, this does not trigger a loss. Instead of drawing, you put 5/1 counters on Ormos Archive Keeper. So this is okay. It's not good. You pay also 1 generic and 2 blue, discard 3 cards with different names, draw 5 cards. That's great for Commander. That's a cool ability.
That's a cool ability.
That'd be fun to build around if your game plan didn't revolve around you already winning the game by that point.
Yeah, I mean, if you generate infinite blue mana, I suppose this card can draw you out, but for 6 mana, it doesn't do anything. Its middle ability, the drawing cards and adding counters, has no relevance to the game. And the 3 mana ability for the 6 mana you're paying to get the card out in general, it's just not worth it.
It's just not where you want to be for spending this much mana on something. And then, to make its ability relevant, you actually have to do something that most blue decks actually win the game with. Like with Jace, Thassa's Oracle, a Laboratory Maniac. When you draw a card, it says you win the game. Having to win through combat in blue is not bad by any means. You can play Braids, you can play Urza swinging with big artifacts. Your whole game plan revolves around you being able to swing in without trample, with only flying as evasion. If this was unblockable, I'd be singing a different tune, possibly. Because then that would be a cool idea. But the fact that you have to have no opposing board state to even get a scratch in after having no library, I'm just checked out with this card.
Yeah, the best you can build around is generating infinite blue mana and then drawing out your deck. But at that point, just build Urza. If you want to have a commander with infinite mana outlet stapled to it, just build Urza. We won't hate you for it that much.
Yeah. Goo goo gaga. So, alright, going on, we got Crick. This is your specialty right here.
So I've recently built Crick. He is very powerful. Crick, son of Yawgmoth, 4, and then 3 black or Phyrexian mana, legendary creature, horror minion. So he has lifelink, and I can't see the card. For each black in a cost, you may pay 2 life rather than pay that mana. So it makes all your black pips into Phyrexian mana, and whenever you cast a black spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Crick, Son of Yawgmoth. He is a 2/2. It's an engine. It's such a good commander. You play it out as fast as possible.
You're playing it on turn 2 for
turn 2, turn 3
2.
at worst. Ideally turn 1, honestly. And you just start storming off. And his lifelink and +1/+1 counter ability is super relevant. It's an insane commander. I'd say it's just as powerful as Urza. And it's such a fun build around, honestly, and it's not oppressive in the way Urza is, and
it's fun because you have to sacrifice a lot to get where you need to be.
Exactly. It's a, like when Gabe was talking about Muzio, it's very much a toolbox deck where you're balancing how much life you want to spend versus how much you can gain. It's definitely a puzzle when playing. It's fun. It's very fun. And Gabe, take it away with the worst.
Ooh, Tetsamok. This was a big letdown for a lot of the Commander community. A lot of groups wanted to play every single possible dinosaur they could. Mm-hmm. Dinosaurs were awesome. They were new to Magic, except for Fungasaur, but that's an errata.
Yeah.
That we changed that. But we wanted this dinosaur to be good so bad. We got, was it Atali? What was the other one?
Atali is super good.
Tali, the giant green one.
Super fun.
The big old white one that'll smack you. The big old blue one that protects itself and draws you a bunch of cards like every blue player wants. Mm-hmm. This isn't what black players want.
Yeah.
This doesn't do anything.
It doesn't do anything.
We get most cards are designed for 60 card format, especially when they are revealed for a standard set. But this is just one of those cards that every other card in the cycle was so good for Commander that this was just a really big letdown when it was spoiled.
Yeah, and even if they weren't great, they were still playable. This card is barely good in the 99.
It requires too much setup, and if anything goes wrong, then don't even expect to see its ability trigger. Yeah, so it's a 4 mana, 2 black, so 6 total. It's a 6/6 with Death Touch. You pay 1 black, reveal it from your hand, so not from the command zone, so this is already the death of this card. To put a prey counter on target creature, activate this ability only during your turn. When Tetsamok enters the battlefield, destroy each creature your opponents control with a prey counter on it.
Yeah, why would you, even if you did manage to get it from the command zone into your hand, why would you televise the fact that you had a board wipe? It just doesn't do anything worth.
When you come to the table with this as your commander, which you shouldn't be, but if you do, everyone around you is going to see this as your commander and go, oh, okay, so I'm safe.
Yeah, there's just I don't see a build around, especially in mono black. Maybe in the 99 of a deck it can perform. I'm not seeing it though. I'm really not.
Like for Crick, it's a little interesting. You can pay 2 life to put a prey counter on something.
Yeah, but I wouldn't run it in the deck.
Exactly. It's not good enough for what it does.
No, not at all.
Especially when you can just play Toxic Deluge and pretty much get the same effect for the same amount of life.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're just moving on after that one. Tetsamok makes us a little too sad.
Alright, and I'll let you read the best one this time.
Oh, I love this one so much. So, red. EDH Rec loves to push red. Only Goblin red. Because Grenzo and, who's the other one? Krenko. They are both undoubtedly the best Goblin commanders. If you are playing Goblins, you're playing Mono Red or Rakdos with Wart, Raid Mother, whatever it is. But if you really are you're just not in the Goblin spirit, you're not a frenzied little guy, you don't want to crawl over your enemies and poke at their eyeballs and tear their ears off, then why don't you sit down with a more sophisticated Goblin? And one who has a really cool hat.
Yeah, we are pretty biased towards this card anyway. We're both huge Artifact players. Artifacts have our heart.
But just as far as cards can go, Krenko and Grenzo are going to take you into a red, beat-down Goblin deck. Daretti will take you wherever you want to go, baby. He's got a little wheelchair. You just hop on the back of that and he'll drive you to whatever destination you want. You can go Scrap Savant kind of thing where you just get stuff back from the graveyard with his second ability. You can do a little Madness sub-theme with that +2. You can do big artifact beaters with his last ability. There's just so much you can do with this guy that other goblins don't let you do. And he's tribally not a goblin. But of course, lore-wise, seeing a smart goblin like we're back on Mercadian Masks is just so cool to me. I love smart goblins. They're the best. They're so snooty. They're so uptight for just being like the height that they are. A lot of them always like wear really tall boots. It's just adorable. I love them.
Anyways, don't forget to read the card, Gabe.
I got so excited. He's so cool. So about my little Polyano pal, he's a 3 mana +1 red, so 4 total. For a 3 loyalty red planeswalker, you +2 him to discard up to 2 cards, then draw that many cards. So you can discard 1, draw 1, discard 2, draw 2. Simple as that. -2 is trash for treasure. You sacrifice an artifact. If you do, return target artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield. This is the powerhouse of the deck right here. This is the combo maker. This will let you take extra turns, will let you steal people's turns with Mindslaver. There's just so much you can do with this little guy. And the -10 you'll rarely get to, but when you do, you're winning the game. You get an emblem with whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return that card to the battlefield at the beginning of the next end step. You're just never losing anything again. And with his -2 ability, if he dies from ulting, then you bring him back, you're going to have an endless value engine that no one can stop.
Yeah, it's such a fun commander with so many build-around options. You can, of course, go stacks. You can go artifact tokens. You can go big creatures, beaters.
You can go goblins.
Gabe went into this. You can go goblins. I don't see how, but you could. Yeah, by far the best mono-red commander in the format. Leaps and bounds. And then for the worst mono-red commander, maybe not the worst. We didn't choose any vanilla creatures for the worst.
This is
Commanders, but it's borderlining on it. Varix Bladewing, 2 red, and a flavor win for sure. Legendary creature, dragon, kicker 3, flying whenever Varix Bladewing enters the battlefield. If it was kicks, create Karox Bladewing, a legendary 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying. You're paying 7 mana for 2 4/4 red dragons. At best. At worst, you're paying 4 for a 4/4 flyer. It doesn't do anything. There's no build around options.
So much flavor was that risk here, and risk it they did.
Risk it they did, and it's not even good in the 99. It's a mythic. If you pulled this, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I think you got it at the pre-release, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
it
was your promo.
It was my pre-release promo.
Oh my.
The packs were good. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah. The packs were good. This was the big letdown that you had to start out with, though. Going into mono green, we got Selvala, Heart of Value. Just everything right here. Do you want to go over this one?
Sure.
To the best.
Selvala, Heart of the Wilds, 1 green legendary creature, elf scout. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, its controller may draw a card if its power is greater than each other creature's power. Tap 1 green and tap her. Add X mana in any combination of colors where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. She's a 2/3. She does everything. She draws
Staff
cards.
of Domination, just infinite mana right away.
Draws cards. She just does it all. She adds unlimited mana pretty much.
The Urza of Green.
The Urza of Green. Less oppressive for sure, but such a fun commander. So powerful. So cool. Beautiful art. I love this card. I could go on about this card forever. I would love to build this.
Now we're going on to a card that I introduced Gavin to, actually. Even though he was playing when it came out and I was not. I got this from my grandmother. I was over in Detroit, Michigan, and we were next to a game store, and I was just getting into Magic. Like, I had no idea what was out or what was what. And we went in, and she bought me this, and I thought, this is a really cool deck. She looks pretty neat. And then I get home and I open it and I try to do literally anything with this creature. Nothing happens. You have to put so much into making her work that the mana you cast to trigger her ability, you're not going to be able to use the ability.
Yeah. If she made the lands untap, you'd have a something here. You don't.
So you guys know what we're talking about. This is Anthosa Citizen Hero. 3, 2 green, 5 total for a 4/5 with heroic. Whenever you cast a spell that targets Anthusia, citizen hero, up to 3 target lands you control each become a 2/2 warrior until the end of turn, and they are still lands. They do not untap, they do not gain any abilities aside from the fact that they can now die to a removal spell. They just kind of sit there.
Yeah, there is a build around here. You could build this deck. It's better than some of the other commanders that we've chosen for today. It's just not good, though. It's by far, in our opinion, the worst non-vanilla green legendary.
It comes down to it may as well be vanilla.
It may as well be vanilla at that point. You're opening up your lands to board wipes, removal spells, etc. It's just not worth the mana.
There's so much you could do with this card, but none of it is worth doing.
Yeah, nah.
On to colorless, the hardest one to decide.
Yeah.
By far, out of any color combination, any color itself, just Kozilek the Great Distortion was the best.
Yeah, by far draws cards, counter spells.
Yeah, 8/2 colorless for a 12/12 with Menace. When you cast Kozilek the Great Distortion, if you have fewer than 7 cards in your hand, draw cards equal to the difference. You spend all this ramp getting them out, and then you just refill your hand after. Then you can discard a card with converted mana cost X at any time. This is an instant speed ability to counter target spell with converted mana cost X. So your hand becomes a counter spell itself. So he protects himself, and he's one of the biggest beaters Eldrazi was.
Yeah, it's an insane card. It's super fun. I've seen our friend Hunter has the deck.
Oh god, I hate it.
It performs.
It scares me.
It's so good.
I have to waste all my counter spells on Kozilek himself.
Exactly. And for our worst, quote unquote, colorless commander, we did have other options. We could have chosen
the Big Mama herself.
Plenty of other things, but for the worst, and a color or colorless in this case, with pretty good commanders actually, Emrakul the Promised End was by far the most boring one we found. 13 mana, legendary creature Eldrazi. When she cost 1 less for each card type among cards in your graveyard, and when you cast Emrakul, you gain control of target opponent during that player's next turn. After that turn, that player takes an extra turn. Flying, trample, protection from instants, super good in the 99. Also a 13/13.
Yeah, it's really good. Just its only impact is when it hits the battlefield, and that's the only issue with it.
And then the player taking an extra turn definitely slows it down as a commander. It's not bad.
Yeah, because you take their turn, but Commander is such a volatile format. If you give them that extra turn because you have to, obviously, they're just going to rebuild pretty fast if they're playing the right deck. Of course, if, like, I think it was at Xavier's birthday a while back, it was our friend Zen was playing my Muzio deck, and I had a Spellskite out. No, he had a Spellskite out, and I was playing someone's deck that had Emrakul the Promised End in it. I took control of his turn, and I targeted something, and then redirected to Spellskite an infinite number of times, because he was at an even life total, and it killed him. And that was, like, the only time I think I've ever seen Emrakul the Promised End actually perform.
Yeah, I mean, playing it, you'll always get value from it. It's also really fun to imprison in the moon Emrakul.
You got that flavor
win. And we probably could have chosen Karn Silver Golem as the worst colorless commander, even though I don't think he is.
Yeah.
He definitely is a weird build around, but
it's the fact that you actually build around him is what makes them fun.
Yeah, all the Eldrazi Titans are gonna have essentially the same build around. Yeah. And Emrakul's just
the worst of the bunch.
of a group of really good cards.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So then we're getting into duo colors. We got all the guilds coming up. We got all of the wonderful multicolored cards, and I do not delve too far into this realm because I do not like paying mana. I like just putting down my basic land and I go, there we go. That is my source. If I have to pay 2 life for something to enter untapped, I don't want it. I don't want to play that deck. So to start us off, we got Azorius.
Yeah, the best, in our opinion,
blue-white.
Blue-white commander is Brago, King Eternal. 2 mana, blue-white, legendary creature, Spirit Noble, flying. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, exile any number of target non-land permanents you control, then return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control.
It's just a giant flicker deck.
2/4. And stacks is what's most typically built with this deck, but this deck has so many build-around options.
You can do so much with it. It's so fun. ETB triggers are famously
triggers.
like what makes the cream of the crop in EDH.
Exactly, and this is the ETB.
This is the king.
Commander
Aside
deck.
from like Yarok, just this is the one. Like you do essentially double the triggers. With
Exactly, and with this card, a really popular build around is artifacts. So I'm a little biased.
Yeah, we got a little. We pushed some cards to make this one happen.
Yeah.
There's not too much more to say about it. It's just really good.
It's Brago. It's good.
Brago. If you've played a game with Brago, then you'll remember his name. We haven't played against Brago in years, and we still put him at the top because we remember that one game that we did. It was over as soon as Brago hit the field.
Exactly.
Then for we got the arch enemy of Tolarian Academy himself, Gosta Dirk.
Gosta Dirk.
We got the Dirk himself. 7 mana. It'll be 3 generic, 2 white, and 2 blue for a 4/4 first strike. Creatures with Island Walk may be blocked as if they did not have this ability. Oh my.
If your opponent's playing Island Walk Tribal,
kudos to you.
Kudos to you.
You beat them. You won.
You've won, and other than that, you've done nothing.
If you've got a notorious little Timmy that's playing, what is it? Just Lord of Atlantis.
Any merfolk that grants Island Walk, yeah.
Yeah, just you've won. You beat them. This is
if you get it out.
This is what by turn 7 against a merfolk deck. If you're playing this, you've won.
You've won.
Like good for you've blocked with a 4/4 first strike. You deserved it.
You deserve you even if you didn't win, you've won.
Exactly. Look, all that water gets caught in that beard, I think, is what happens.
I think that's what it is. That has to be. It absorbs it.
That's why it's so luscious and fluffy.
It makes sense.
They're just whatever. Just that's that. And for Dimmer blue-black, we got the Scarab God for the best one.
The Scarab God.
The most fun.
3 blue-black legendary creature god. At the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses X life and use Scry X, where X is the number of zombies you control. 2 blue-black, an activated ability. Exile target creature from a graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of it, except for it's a 4/4 black zombie. And when it dies, return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next upkeep. Or end step, excuse me. It's a 5/5 body. Very, very powerful.
5/5 for 5. It passes the vanilla test already.
Exactly. And it just does so much. You're creating zombies for sack outlets. Your opponents are losing life. You can steal their creatures.
It's got a pseudo indestructible built into it.
Exactly. You're never paying commander tax for this. It just does so much, and zombie travel is so fun.
This is just a value engine in of itself, and it creates all that value with any amount of mana that you can put into it. But our worst is also a 5 mana card that you can put as much mana into it as you want, and you'll still always get the same amount of value out of it. We got Chad himself, Nebuchadnezzar. 3 mana, blue and black for 5 total, just like our buddy the Scarab Lord over here. And he's a 3/3 legendary human wizard, probably. And you pay X, tap it, you name a card. The first time you will whiff. You're not getting your first bang for your buck out of activating them.
I mean, maybe.
You could. You never know. It could be really cool. When you pay X, you tap it, you name a card, target opponent reveals X cards from his or her hand at random. If that player does not have enough cards in their hand, they reveal their entire hand. An opponent then discards any of those cards that match the named card. Use this ability only during your turn. So this is bad in Commander only because it hits one thing.
Yeah, it's a somehow worse Thoughtseize, a card that's already not good in Commander.
It's like a reverse Mind Twist. You reveal the cards at random, but you only pick one.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything. The mana you're sinking in for the mana for the value you're getting, it's a bad deck.
There's so little Chad can do for you.
He is indeed
3/3
not
body.
a Chad.
He's a chud.
He's a chud. I'm sorry.
Ooh, Chainer.
For the best Rakdos commander, we have Chainer, Nightmare Adept, 2 black red, legendary creature, human minion. Discard a card. You may cast a creature card from your graveyard this turn. Activate only once each turn. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, if you didn't cast it from your hand, it gains haste until your next turn.
This is just a value engine on a stick.
It's a
right
value
here.
engine on a stick.
You
It's
can
a
play
3/2.
Madness, you can go Reanimate. There's just an endless amount of possibilities to go with this dude. And all of them will be fun to play.
Exactly, and it just, you keep refilling your graveyard. You have plenty of ways in that color pie to do that anyways.
Naturally in Magic, gaining value from something that hurts you is really fun. Like discarding cards, paying life. It feels rewarding.
It's such a fun build around, and it does so much. I love the card. I really do.
The original one is still pretty good.
Yeah,
the
the
Mono Black
Chainer.
Chainer. Yeah.
Super powerful.
Really
super
cool
underrated too.
Yeah, but when this card got spoiled, whew,
Blew it out of the water, honestly.
Like, same guy, different club.
Yeah. This.
He's literally in a different club. He was so good they let him join the Rakdos.
I wish I saw more Chainer decks around our neck of the neighborhood.
I do have a Chainer in that box right there in the green one. Yeah.
I think I have the Rakdos Chainer as well.
Should we just all build Chainer decks?
Only Chainer. Chainer Tribal.
Only Chainer. Not go into the worst Chainer. Boris Devil Boon, who I don't even know why I could compare him to Chainer, but that was my thought process. Please do not make fun of me. It is 3 black red for a 5 mana 2/2, all the Kamigawa stats. For paying 4, tapping them to put a minor demon token into play. Create this token as a 1/1 red black creature. Demon Tribal.
It doesn't do anything.
It's Demon Tribal.
You're creating singular tokens. That's, I mean, you're gonna get something from that. Stack them, pump them, do something. Now, one way to fix this would be adding Bushido.
Ooh.
I mean, it already has the Kamigawa stats. Might as well go all the way.
If Boris had Rampage.
If Boris had Rampage.
If he was like Gabriel Angel Fire.
The greatest commander of all time, Gabriel Angel Fire.
And had Rampage 3.
There's a build around to it, Aristocrats, but there's so many better commander options for that.
Tesa.
This is the worst of the bunch by leaps and bounds. It's not a good card.
Just bound and leap your way out of your LGS if this is what you're playing, because
Yeah.
you're never winning a game in your life.
You're not.
Going on to red-green for the best one. All the red-green commanders were really hard to decide because they all do the same power level of thing, but they're all equally tied for it.
Yeah, there were plenty of best options. We could have chosen one of the Radas.
You got Nikya.
Yeah, there's plenty of good options in this color combination, but we chose Xenagos, God of Revels 3, and then red-green, legendary enchantment creature, God, indestructible. As long as your devotion to red and green is less than 7, Xenagos isn't a creature. At the beginning of combat on your turn, another target creature you control gains haste and gets +X until end of turn, where X is that creature's power. He is a 6/5. He is an amazing card, an amazing commander at that.
Haste is really strong in green. It's not something you see too often.
Yeah, no, you're ramping out to get Xenagos, and then to get big creatures, then you're doubling their power, and then you're finishing the game soon. You could even put more power doublers in the deck, and you're swinging out for insurmountable amounts of damage super quickly. It's such a fun commander.
Sorry, to drink some vitamin water. This man is as poggy as they get.
Yeah.
You just doubling the power of a creature and adding that power onto their toughness kind of creates like a weird build around where you can just go all in on the power stats. Like I was saying for Chomano a while back, you can build around the power aspect and they'll still have that layer of protection on their back end where when you attack with that creature, it won't fully matter what their toughness is. There's just going to be so much built up in their favor that you're just going to win off of that value alone. Speaking of value, we got Sunestian Falconer, who's a legendary creature for some reason, and is a 3-mana green-red 4/4, and has the wild ability that Nikya wished she had, and can tap for 2 colorless.
And it can be played as an interrupt.
You can, if anyone casts anything, activates any abilities, surprise them with your Sunstanding and Falconer and add
Yeah.
2 colorless to your mana pool for the counterspell that you might possibly have.
Yeah, that counterspell you definitely have.
For that counterspell.
The card's 4/4. It doesn't do anything. If you want to go like,
You go Voltron.
you go Voltron with any commander with that logic. I'm thinking.
Who does this remind you of? I'm getting like Dolichos vibes. It taps for 2.
It does tap.
It's
for
better
2.
than Dolichos. You can spend it on anything. Checkmate.
Sure. You could do artifact with the card, I guess. You could do like Mana Dork Tribal, if that's your thing. There's just better commanders that also ramp in the exact same color combination. It's not a good card.
It's a vanilla creature that is just really getting you not where you need to be at that point.
No, you're in Gruul. Play a better ramp commander.
If you're in Gruul, you're already like cruising for a bruising. You can do whatever you want at that point.
Exactly.
There's not much reason to put that much like pan into what you're doing.
Exactly. It's just not worth the mana you're putting in.
So Tristani, we got green-white. Tristani, Selesnya's voice. It's a value engine. It does everything you want it to. Green-white has always been the color of damage prevention, gaining life. You got the big blockers.
Exactly.
Tree folk are traditionally green, so outside of elves, they were the most iconic back then. So dryads are only naturally going to be green-white because of their healing properties and their link to plants and such. We got a 4 mana 2/5. It's 2 green, 2 white. And whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, note that it does not say non-token. You gain life equal to that creature's toughness, and then you may also pay 1 and Selesnya, tap it to populate.
It's such a fun commander.
For those of you who don't know, populate is create a token that's a copy of a creature token. So you can only copy a token that's already on the battlefield.
Yeah.
But that's still pretty good.
And there were plenty of options we could have chosen for Selesnya. Scythis, Harvest Hand, a newer commander comes to mind. However, this is just more fun. It's not more powerful.
Even the God of the Harvest herself, she's a pretty popular one.
Karametra.
Yeah.
This card is just so powerful and creates such value. You keep spamming tokens, gaining life, and gaining life isn't going to win you a game in Commander. However, swarming the board with giant fatty
it buys
tokens,
you the time.
You're gonna do damage, and then add sack outlets that what's the one that mills your opponent for cards again, or anyone for cards?
Phyrexian Altar? No.
Altar
of Dementia.
Altar of Dementia.
Yeah.
Add Altar of Dementia to the deck. You could potentially
sacrificing those
out.
10/10 Eldrazi to just
mill them out. It's insane. It's such a fun card, such a fun build around. Pretty cheap to build around too. Pretty easy.
Rearing up not too far behind, we got Ke Takakakabapada for 2, 1 white and green for a 4 mana 2/2. Tap him to prevent up to 2 damage to any creature.
It doesn't do anything.
He protects himself. Unlike Tristani, he only cares about himself, and that's his issue.
I mean, you could save a Mana Dork. You could save a Soul Warden, or whatever. It's just, there's no build around to it. It doesn't have haste. You're going to have to wait a turn to activate it. And even then, the value you're getting for the mana you're putting in, and for the time you're investing into the card, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't pan out.
This is the green-white Shomano.
This is the green-white Shomano, and
But
I think
because
Shomano might be better.
I don't know. The green lets you prevent that damage from anything else, too.
I guess. It's a do-nothing commander. If you show up with this deck, though, I'll respect it.
I was actually going to build it a while back.
You were going to build it? Why?
Because I had all those cleric cards that my dad's friend left behind, and it had all that damage prevention stuff, and this was the only commander that I could find in the box that actually prevented it.
I guess. If you want a deck tick on that, whoever is watching, let us know. We'll make it. We'll do it.
I'll pull it out of my binder and just get it right onto the
Why
field.
not?
Speaking of binders, Teysa Karlov, my pre-release promo.
Yeah. Teysa Karlov, 2, white-black, legendary creature, human advisor. If a creature dying causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger. That ability triggers an additional time. Creature tokens you control have vigilance and lifelink. She is a 2/4. Wow, this is probably the best Aristocrats commander by leaps and bounds. You're doubling triggers. Everybody loves to double things in Commander.
Doubling is fun.
And
there's even a card named after it.
Yeah, the creature tokens you control have vigilance and lifelink is just stapled on there as well. And honestly, it does make a difference when playing the deck. It's a powerful commander. It does so much, and it can get out of control faster than the speed of light.
Yeah, black-white, there's a lot of pain life there. A lot of things that are going to keep you on the low end to like balance out the power of the deck. Like you were saying, that second ability with vigilance and lifelink, being able to swing in with those little like vampires or thralls that you're making, it's just going to keep you afloat the entire time.
Yeah, it's such a value engine. And speaking of value
engines... Did you
say
value engine?
Speaking of value engines...
We got Triad of Fates. The opposite of a value engine.
I mean, it's an engine.
It's a Motorola.
Don't make fun of Motorola. Anyways, okay, go ahead.
It's a Triad of Fates is 2 white-black for a 3/3 legendary human wizards. And you may pay 1 of anything, so there's a colorless sister. Look at that flavor. You put a fate counter on target creature. But it does not end there. You can also pay a white to tap it. Yeah, Gavin's already yawning listening to this card. There's so much on this, and yet it does nothing. Then exile target creature, has fate counter on it, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. Not with a fate counter on it, though. So you've already lost the value you spent 1 turn doing. And you may pay black to exile target creature that has a fate counter on it, and its controller draws 2 cards. That is worse than the creature.
Yeah, I don't think this is the worst Orzhov commander of all time. However, it is the one that upsets me the most. You put in so much
to get so little. Triad of Fates is toxic.
You're putting in turn after turn. You can't activate her the turn she comes in, so you're already losing out on value that way.
You put your mana into her. You put your turns into her. You will buy her special rocks to untap her too. And what does she give you? You're giving everything. Yeah. She's giving nothing.
Maybe you're flickering a Recruiter of the Guard 1 to 2 times in the game.
That's just to get more stuff for her, really.
Yeah, I don't see a build around. If the black ability, if it was sacrifice target creature that has face counter on it, draw 2 cards, that might be something. But it's not. It's exile, so the creature's gone forever. It's a nothing card. There's a build around for it.
We do like nothing cards, but this is the nothing card that is boring to play.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Going on to the everything card. We got Niv Mizzet Perun, the most recent Niv Mizzet, and the one that, of course, in Niv Mizzet fashion, they just had to keep upping the ante every time they printed him. So he's so Izzet, in fact, that you can only spend Izzet to cast him. Yeah. He is that smart. He is that big brain that you have to light a bunch of water droplets on fire, throw them into cardboard crack, and maybe, just maybe, you'll form a 5/5 that cannot be countered, is flying, and whenever you draw a card, Niv Mizzet Perun deals 1 damage to any target, already phenomenal. But whenever any player casts an instant or sorcery spell, you draw a card.
Yeah, it's punishing people for playing instants and sorceries. It's dealing damage. It can't be countered. It's flying. It's only 6 mana.
I run this as the finisher in my Reanimate deck on, what's it called, Magic Arena. Nobody can deal with it.
No, it's wild.
You draw your entire deck and kill them.
And for Izzet, it was kind of hard to find, like, truly awful commanders.
This is a fun one.
Pretty much all commanders in Izzet are good. So for the worst, quote-unquote, Izzet commander, Rutha, Mercurial Artist, 1, Izzet, Legendary Creature, Orc Shaman, tap 2, return her to your hand, copy target instant or sorcery spell you control, you may choose new targets for the copy. She is a 1/4.
It's a fun card.
I might build it. I like this effect a lot.
It's out of all the Izzet ones, somehow this was the least interesting.
Yeah, it's still super powerful.
It was on par with Nin the Pain Artist, but Nin the Pain Artist is such like a unique original commander that it was really hard to put it at the bottom.
It's still really good though. It has pretty much exclusively good commanders. It's kind of wild.
The fact that it goes back to your hand and it actually gets around commander type, like, we're complimenting it a lot, but that's because there's not too much bad to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, 5 mana to do that is a little expensive, but you do get to do it again and again.
And again and again.
Yeah, I think the commander is really powerful. I think it's really good.
It's one of those cards that as soon as you play it, it's going to be a value engine on the board. You're going to be able to use it for multiple things. You don't even have to know what that thing is yet because it's on the board, and then you got a 2-mana dual caster mage just sitting there ready for you.
I imagine I'd play with a ton of extra turn spells.
Oh my, with extra turn spells, this is actually a really good card.
Yeah, I think it'll be my extra turn commander. But yeah, Div Mizzet, leaps and bounds better than that card. Probably the best Izzet commander of all time.
Easily the best one.
No question.
Golgari was a little different. Marin of Clan Neltoth is by no means the best, but she is...
The Givrog monster is.
Yeah, but this is the best gameplay-wise. If you're going to want to come to an LGS with any deck you want in black-green, this is going to be the commander that you can pick, and that deck will just work. Because nothing you control will ever die again.
Yeah.
It's going to stay on the battlefield, and it's just going to keep coming back. Whenever Marin of Clan Neltoth is a 2-mana black-green, so 4 total for 3/4. Whenever another creature you control dies, you get an experience counter. And experience counters, there's no way to interact with them. None. They just stay there forever, and that's her issue, like, power-wise, that you can't really interact with her once she's done a little bit. Now, at the beginning of your end step, choose target creature card in your graveyard. If that card's converted mana cost is less than or equal to the number of experience counters you have, return it to the battlefield, otherwise to your hand. There's no losing with her.
It's so fun.
She's so fun.
Such a fun commander.
You've played this deck too?
I played this deck.
I bought the pre-con when it came out.
Yep.
Most people who have ever played Marin, their general consensus is you can beat people with, like, their own personal decks.
It's
she
wild.
does so much.
It does so much for so little investment. Experience counters are a super broken mechanic. However, this commander isn't super broken. It's powerful. It's not Urza though, and you'll be doing so much in games, and it'll be so fun. The back and forth this creates with your opponents is super interesting, and I've never not had fun playing it or playing against it.
We've lost to Marin before. But losing to Marin doesn't feel too bad.
Yeah.
Because you see it coming from a mile away. It's just you don't deal with it soon enough, and she'll slap you. She'll grab that little skull and just shove it down your throat.
And for the worst commander...
Oh,
Harold, King of Skemfar.
The Duke.
1 black-green legendary creature, Elf Warrior. He is a 3/2. He has Menace. And when he enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal an Elf, Warrior, or Tyvar card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on your on the bottom of your library in any random order. It's the worst Elf commander. And
the worst Golgari
commander. It's impressive.
Oh, I in fact have this showcase card like a foot away from me right now, wherever he is.
He doesn't do anything that really impacts the game. You're going to be maybe getting an elf.
Everything that you get out of him just isn't really worth it.
Yeah, and you could have all the top deck manipulation in the world, and you're just not affecting the game enough to justify playing this card as your commander. If you really want to play Golgari Elves and you don't have any commander,
the Llanowar Horror, isn't it?
Yeah, the Llanowar Horror, and then there's the one that was just released, the pre-con one for Commander Legends.
That insane one.
If you don't want to play those, this is your basically, I think, your only option, or one of your only options, and it's kind of a do-nothing commander. If you can flicker it, I guess, maybe.
I think I said this in our practice for this episode last week, but if it could search, if it looked for the top 5 cards for an Elf or Warrior, or you could instead choose to search for a Tyvar commander, then this would be a really cool card.
Yeah, if it just entered and you got to search for an Elf or a Tyvar or a Warrior, this would be a really cool card and would have at least some level.
It'd be a secret Tyvar commander deck.
It'd be a secret Tyvar commander deck, and I like the idea of that. I just don't like the card itself.
Moving on, we got Oscar the Reconstructor. Ooh. This one's back to you.
Oscar the Reconstructor is not only one of the greatest Boros commanders, if not the greatest Boros commander, but is one of the greatest artifact commanders of all time. He is 2 red-white, legendary creature, giant artificer, vigilance 4/4, not irrelevant. Tap 1, sacrifice an artifact, target creature you control gets +2/+0 until end of turn. And then tap X and tap him, exile an artifact card with mana value X from your graveyard, create 2 tokens that are copies of the exiled card, activate only as a sorcery. Wow, that's a lot of text and a lot of value. He has the sack outlet on deck. He creates token copies with Anointed Procession or ways to double up his triggers. You're just destroying the board. The card does it all. The card is insane. Almost as good as Urza, in my opinion, and
in some ways, yeah.
I have the deck built, and
it functions.
It functions.
Oh boy, it functions.
It took very little effort to upgrade the precon. I changed about 50 cards in the deck. It took me 2 hours.
Adding Illusionist Bracers to the deck actually just makes it murder.
It immediately became Power 8. It's so good.
One of the best precons that Wizards has ever released, in my opinion.
It's so fun. It's such a fun commander to play. It's not as fun to play against, but the value you're creating, it's unmatchable. I wouldn't say Urza doesn't even create as much value. It's just better.
Yeah, no, Urza controls better. Oscar just blows up.
Oscar, in a few turns, you're gonna have 1 million token copies of 1 million different things, drawing out so many cards, and with cards that mill your deck, you're just gonna be constantly refilling your graveyard for more value. I love this card. Gabe, on to you.
This is another Cho Mono card for me. I found this in my collection when I was moving to my new place. Mm-hmm. And the sad memories I had rush back to me of when I was at this pre-release, and I was playing 2 at a giant. My team came in 2nd place. But the fact that I almost built this guy, it ruined my day. He's such a do-nothing commander for what you get, and for a while, I thought those were chains he was breaking, because, I mean, yeah, they look like tentacles now they look up close, but how could a card this weak even take down a smallest titan possible? It's just, flavor-wise, he's the most boring card I've ever seen in Boros. For, the whole, resilient, ironclad warrior race that, the Boros color is supposed to be, he fits none of this criteria. He just doesn't do anything for you. He's 2 red-white, so 4 total for a 3/4 with haste. That is okay. That is an okay creature by all means. But it has Rally. Whenever Munda Ambush Leader or another ally enters the battlefield under your control, you may look at the top 4 cards of your library. If you do, reveal any number of ally cards from among them, put them back on top of your library, and the rest on the bottom in any order. This is garbage.
Yeah.
Allies in red-white, they're okay, but putting them back on top, this is the color with no card draw, Gavin. They have no card draw.
It's a do-nothing card. If you're playing Ally Tribal, bully for you.
Just go Tazri.
Just go Tazri.
Just give him.
I don't see a good build around for this deck. I've said that for most of our commanders, to be fair, but I don't like the card. I don't like Ally Tribal at all. I think it's super undersupported. Such a cool idea.
I think they kind of ditched it when they were just like, let's do party instead.
Yeah, let's do party instead. I wish allies came back.
I don't know why they didn't bring back out. They kind of did with, what was it? The Tazri, it included ally in the text of it, but there were no, no allies in the set.
Yeah, I mean...
yeah. It's a lose.
I don't like the card. Too much mana for what you're getting. And I just...
A 3-mana 3/4 would be interesting, because it might have been Tiny Leaders
I guess
friendly,
you could
back when Tiny Leaders was a thing.
Faithless Looting, and other mono red impulse drop, but then you're just losing half of the...
And then you can discard the non-ally cards.
I guess. There's a deck here. It's just not a good deck or a deck I want to play.
It filters in the worst way possible, because let's say you put 2 allies back on top. Your next turn, you're drawing one of those allies. You play that ally, Now you're looking at the top 4 cards of your library. You already knew what one of them was. It's another ally. And now you have 3 more cards, and you have to put that ally back on top. Like, you're not going to put it on the bottom of your library. You're just cycling right back into the card that you already saw, and you're gaining nothing from it. You are putting all this effort into trying to storm off with these little ally dudes, and you're just cycling back into it and slapping your face against the same wall again and again and again, and you're not going to play that ally as fast as you want to.
Yeah, if you're already in ally tribal, you're already at a disadvantage. Don't put yourself at a farther disadvantage by playing this.
by going Mundo.
Wow.
Tata.
So, for Simic, it was also difficult to find truly, like, awful commanders.
And to choose a best, oh my god.
Yeah, this is probably not the best Simic commander, but it was the one we chose as our favorite, as the one we enjoy the most. We could have easily chosen Kinnan, probably definitively the best Simic commanders, one of the greatest commanders, but...
I like Momir Vig color manipulation a lot.
That's also a good card.
That's a really good, like, elf tribal going with that.
But for the best, Tatiova, Benthic Druid, 3, green, blue, legendary creature, Merfolk Druid. She is a 3/3. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life and draw a card. The pinnacle of value engine, and you may look at the card at first and be like, this doesn't seem that good, but the second you get this on the board and see what it does, you're gonna change your mind. You're gaining life like crazy. You're drawing so many cards, refilling your hand constantly, getting extra land drops with cards like Exploration. This deck just is a non-stop value engine, and it's so hard to tame once your opponent gets it under control.
I personally think this card would have been received differently if it was printed as a mythic.
If it was a mythic and it cost like 1 mana less, people would have been all over it. But it is an uncommon commander.
But it took years for people to realize that this was actually the best Simic commander, pretty much. Like, not the best, but when you start going off with Tatiova, because it's like an uncommon, when you see it in someone's command zone, you go, oh, whatever. It's an uncommon commander. Uncommon commanders are a dime a dozen nowadays. They're just playing it because it's fun, because they're going to do a little something. They're going to do a little dance. They're going to show off the cool deck that they built out of their binder. And then they're done. They're not going to do anything with it. But Tatiova, you've gained so much life. You've drawn so many cards that you just can't catch back up with her.
And it's such a good commander. I've never seen the deck falter. I've only seen it pop off.
All you have to do is play a land and you're back in the game.
Yeah. For the worst commander, or least favorite, go ahead, Gabe.
I had a few ideas for this one, but out of all the Simic commanders, this still just fell short of greatness, in my opinion. It's 5 mana, it's 2 green and 2 blue for a changeling shapeshifter legendary snow creature. Just a lot there. That's so cool to go off of. Flavor-wise, I love it. Flavor-wise, it's not at the bottom for me. Even Tatiova might be at the bottom just because it's a fish with a ball. But, Gavin just gave me the side-eye for that one. You may have Morite of the Frost enter the battlefield as a copy of any permanent you control, except it's a legendary and snow in addition to its other types. And it's a creature, and if it's a creature, it enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it, and it has changeling.
With 2 additional +1/+1 counters.
Sorry, I read that a little wrong. I believe it copies the name of the thing, correct, when it enters?
I'm not sure.
It just makes it legendary.
Yeah.
So it doesn't change the name. So you can't like do a Planeswalker deck with this, because that's the idea I initially had. Because I thought that it changed the name to Morite of the Frost, which would be a really cool deck to build. But because you're just taking a non-legendary card and making it legendary, it's okay.
It's Simic Sakashima. It's a super cool card. It's pretty powerful in its own right, especially copying any permanent on the battlefield. It definitely makes a difference.
It's a weird anti-Sakashima. It's saying, you're unimportant, I'm gonna make me important, but you...
It falls short of, like Gabe said, greatness. Simic is full of super powerful, super amazing, super awesome commanders, and this one just doesn't do it for me. It's
Dude's head is a tree.
Not quite good enough.
Alright, moving on. We got a little stasis.
Time for a break.
It is time for a tiny break.
We'll be back in about 5 minutes. We appreciate you watching so far, and we will see you momentarily.
Thank you very much.
And we are back. Gabe, are you going to pay the one?
I'm not going to pay the one. Are
Perfect.
you?
No, I am not. I guess we sacrifice Stasis.
Moving on, we got the Unholy Trinities, the 3 color commandos. I barely ever delve into these.
I rarely do as well. I stick mostly in 2 colors. That's kind of my realm of comfort. Gabe is definitely a solo colored player.
I like the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So, going into the first one, we got Alila, Artful Provocateur.
Mm-hmm.
1 mana, white, blue, black, for a 2/3 flying death touch lifelink. Everything you can need on a little body.
Mm-hmm.
Other creatures you control with flying get +1/+0, so an Anthem already. And whenever you cast an artifact or enchantment spell, create a 1/1 blue fairy creature token with flying. So just...
yeah.
so good.
Value. She is a 2/3, and this was actually the commander that I started building before Dolichos. The deck that would eventually become Dolichos. It does so much. Flying Death Touch and Lifelink is not irrelevant. That Anthem, super powerful. Creating 1/1 blue fairy creature tokens is fantastic. You can go Aristocrat sub-theme with this deck. You could do Equipment. You could do Enchantment. You can do a mix of both. You can do basically anything.
You go so wide with this
You
thing.
go so wide, so quick, and it's so easy if you get board wiped to recover. I love this commander. I really do. And in another world,
I don't even have that much to say about her.
Yeah.
This is just another Zur effect. You can build her at any budget, and she's gonna smack.
Perform. For our least favorite or the worst in this color combination, Half Dane 1, black, blue, white. Star. When Half Dane comes into play, he has a 3/3. During your upkeep, Half Dane acquires the current power and toughness of target creature other than Half Dane. If there are no legal targets, Half Dane becomes a 3/3.
And I think I've had this conversation with a few people, but Half Dane is just the worst creature in Magic.
A nightmare. The rules text for this card is biblical.
They've cleaned it up a little bit recently. Like, I've seen, like, in his errata that it is a little cleaned up. But what it used to be, there used to be, like, a lot of things that back when destroyed, like, meant lower their toughness. Like, it never directly meant lower their toughness to 0, but for some reason when Half Dane would check the toughness, he would count it as 0 if the creature got destroyed while he was targeting it, so he'd become a 0/0 creature and die instantly.
Yeah.
There's just too much about this where whenever you're trying to do anything with him that was even slightly aggressive, he would just die. And I'm pretty sure, I'm sure this got errated, but initially, the current power, if their creatures were getting -1/-1, and you chose one of their creatures, then let's say it was a 5/5, and now it's a 4/4 because it gets -1/-1. Half Dane is a 4/4. They get rid of that thing that gives it -1/-1. Half Dane is still a 4/4. They have a 5/5. It's pathetic and weird, and Half Dane is not really where you want to be.
It's kind of cool.
It's interesting.
It's interesting. What are you gonna get a 6/6? It doesn't really do anything.
It copies the power and toughness, with the equipment attached too, so that's interesting.
It's cool. It's a cool commander.
It steals your fit.
I don't see the point in building it. If you have an 8/8 out, you're getting another 8/8. There are better ways to do that. In this color combination, I don't like its ability. I don't like how complicated the rulings are, and I don't see a point in building this commander deck.
Going on, we got Marchesa the Black Rose. She protects herself, she kills you. She does whatever she feels like.
Yes, Marchesa the Black Rose, 1 blue, black, red, legendary creature, human wizard. With Dethrone, whenever this creature attacks, the player with the most life or tied for the most life, put a 1/1 counter on it. Other creatures you control have Dethrone, and whenever a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it dies, return that creature to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step. She can bring herself back.
She protects herself, she's a value engine. There's so much going on here.
Dethrone is such a fun mechanic. It's not broken. It's perfectly balanced, as all things should be. I love this. She's a 3/3, by the way. I love this card. I love its ability. I love how politicky it gets, where there'll be someone with the highest life total, and they know you're gonna
you gain more benefit from attacking them. So if you don't, you get a little more leverage on
Yeah, exactly. It's such an interesting build around. I love this card. I really do.
And we got worse Thraxamundar.
Somehow. I already don't like Thraxamundar.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing that we'll go over at some point. But Garza Zal, Plague Queen, 4 mana, blue, black, red, 5/5 flying haste. Whenever a creature dealt damage by Garza Zal, Plague Queen, this turn is put into a graveyard. Put a +1 counter on Gargagajal. Whenever deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card.
Mm-hmm. So
it's terrible.
Essentially, they have to block. So if they don't block, you
draw a card. You will draw a full card off of this 7 mana creature, and it'll be lethal.
You can do the same thing with Rogue's Glove. 2 mana, 2 equip. Whenever you deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. You're paying 7 mana for that ability. She does have haste and flying.
But imagine her synergy with Marchesa. She puts a +1 counter on herself.
Okay.
Garza Zal is staying for a pretty long time then.
Alright. I don't want her out. And the flying somehow makes the card worse because they'll be less.
They can't block.
They can't block. So you're not going to be... Her middle ability is just not going to trigger often enough to make this card worth it. If she attacked and dealt 1 damage to target creature and then had the rest of the ability that she has, that'd be kind of interesting. You could take out...
Give her Death Touch.
Yeah.
Shoot down a creature. It'd be an interesting deck. Just, there's not much to go off of with her.
Not at all.
We got Korvold, the Fakehurst King.
Korvold.
Oh, wonderful Korvold. 2 black, red, green for a 4/4 flying legendary creature dragon noble. Mm-hmm. Whenever Korvold Fakehurst King enters the battlefield or attacks, sacrifice another permanent. Whenever you sacrifice a permanent, put a +1 counter on Korvold and draw a card. People thought this was going to be a drawback when he came out.
He's a 4/4. He's wild. He does so much. He does not have a sack outlet built onto him. Luckily, that would be too much.
He basically does.
Oh, mate, he does.
Yeah, he does.
He attacks. I meant a instant, sacrifice a creature, do something.
Yeah, no, you play him and you already get value off of him entering the battlefield. Yeah. Then once he starts attacking, that's when you get everything else.
Yeah, what I meant to say was, at least he doesn't have a repeatable sack outlet on him.
There goes your phone.
Ignore that.
At least he doesn't draw you a card and get bigger whenever you do the thing that's his drawback.
He rewards you for playing the deck, but he rewards you in such a cool way. And flavor-wise, this card is super cool. It's super powerful. Probably the best Aristocrats commander, I would say.
It is.
Yeah. I love this card. I don't have it built, but I've seen it played. I would love to build it someday, though. It's such a powerful card.
So much to it.
For the worst commander in this color combination, Daragaz, the Igniter. 3 black, red, green for a Dragon Legend. 6/6 flying. Whenever Daragaz, the Igniter, deals combat damage to a player, you may pay 2 and a red. If you do, choose a color. Target player reveals his or her hand, and Daragaz deals X damage to him or her, where X is the number of cards revealed of that color. If they are playing a monocolored deck, I guess.
When this card, when I heard about it, it was when the new Dominaria set came out, and they remade Daragaz, but as a pretty good creature. And I heard a lot of people saying, oh, they made a new Daragaz, and I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. How old is this creature? So I dug through the recycling at Wizards of the Coast and found this piece of garbage, and I've never hated one of the tricolor dragons more.
If your opponent's playing anything more than a monocolored deck, you're not going to get consistent value out of this. Even if they are playing a monocolored deck, lands are colorless.
Yeah.
Artifacts
are colorless. If they have a multicolored deck, good luck.
Maybe you're going to do 3 or 4 damage. That's
even
if
on
they
a really good day, you're doing 3.
That's if they have cards in hand. They could just not, and then you're just dealing 6 damage.
And then you got a Shivan Dragon without fire breathing.
You gotta somehow verse Shivan Dragon. I don't like this card. We're moving on.
Marisi, Breaker of the Coil. Speaking of breaking stuff, it knocks most Naya commanders out of the park, like play-wise. Because all Naya commanders are about getting really big creatures into play. Like dinosaurs, you got Nest Warden, whatever her name is.
Atla Palani.
Atla. You just got so many things going for the big creatures that Marisi took a step back, looked at the little guys in the brush, and said, what if these guys could piss off everyone?
Yeah, this is 1 red, green, white for a 5/4 legendary creature cat warrior. Your opponents can't cast spells during combat. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, go to each creature that player controls. So you're going to want to play a ton of token creators, swing in with like 4 or 5 tokens.
I've seen creatures with shadow in this deck. Those are the all-stars.
Shadow are going to be really good. Unblockable creatures. Put some swords in, get them protection from colors, get some value. This card's wild. It's control. It's Naya control.
It's control through attacking. You take your entire combat step to decide who can't attack you. And the part that makes this really insane is that it's only 1 creature and it goes each creature they control.
Yeah, it's
you
wild.
are 1 for 5-ing the majority of the time.
Yeah,
and there's no downside to it.
In the wrong pod, to be fair, this commander does nothing, but in the right pod, wow. This card shines. This card's so fun. It's so fun. Gabe, take it away with the worst.
Oh, Darth Maul Avatar Ascendant himself.
Yep.
Johan, the 5/4 6-mana creature. Yeah, 3 white, red, green. As long as Johan does not attack and is untapped, attacking does not cause creatures you control to tap. He gives them vigilance if he doesn't attack. He's a strategy dude, but the strategy is boring.
It's okay. Giving creatures vigilance is something. There are cheaper ways to do it. None that are a commander, I guess. If you want to play Vigilance Tribal, pop off, I guess.
Just make sure that he doesn't get tapped, though, because he doesn't have vigilance, but he will hurt himself.
You can't attack with the commander, which is definitely a downside.
That's a weird thing.
I don't like this effect. I don't think 6 mana to give all your creatures vigilance is worth it, especially with the downside that it can't tap. If it gets tapped down, I just don't think it does enough to warrant the 6 mana cost. A 5/4 body's okay. Does it even pass the vanilla check though?
Mark Teeden hit us up with some good art though.
Yeah, this is some really cool art.
Really good like OG Magic art, like back when they were like trying literally anything.
I would love to see a new Johan.
Really?
One that actually has a decent effect. Maybe it gives all creatures vigilance statically and then does something else as well.
Yeah, we don't give too many like evil Naya people, which is he looks evil. I'm not saying he isn't definitely evil, but I like when they like break the color pie of evil bad guys.
Yeah,
like Elish Norn is a fan favorite.
I just don't see
Muzio.
Half decent build around with this deck. Moving on.
Yeah, Chulain the Teller of Tales, just all around.
Wow.
So painful to even exist around this thing. It's got a 5 mana cost of 2 green, white, blue. It's a 2/4 with vigilance. Whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card, then you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Pay 3 to return to a creature you control to its owner's hand, so it protects itself, it repeats enter the battlefield abilities, it does everything you want it to.
Now, the 3 mana ability is a tap ability, so that's a bit of a downside, but this card rewards you for playing Magic. It is so powerful.
Gavin, do you remember how to play creatures?
Of course.
Alright, then you win.
Yeah, that's essentially what you do. You ramp constantly. You're drawing so many cards. You're swarming the board. You're getting value left and right. You're bouncing creatures with important ETB abilities. This card is arguably very broken. I just love this commander. I don't know. Something about him. He's
got a cool vibe to him.
Got a cool vibe, super powerful, super cool build around. It does everything you want a commander deck to do, and then more.
I have not much to say about this guy. I remember when he came out on MTG Arena, when you would get a random deck for the Brawl event, and whenever anyone got Chulane, you were losing the game.
Yeah.
You don't win against Chulane.
For our worst commander in this color combination, Ragnar, blue, white, green, 2/2, blue, white, green, tap him, regenerate target creature.
The middle part of a goddess, in fact, too.
Yeah, what are you gonna do with this card? You're paying 3 mana to regenerate a creature, which is something, I guess.
It's all about the hair, though, Gavin.
All about the hair.
You're playing Ragnar for
Ragnar
the hair.
has some good
braids,
good hair.
Middle part, beard, long flowing locks.
Yeah, no, Ragnar is a beautiful man.
He's a beautiful man, no
Just
doubt.
lacking a beautiful ability.
Yeah.
Regenerating is something. It's a good effect.
It's what you're regenerating by this point. On turn 1, you're playing a 1 mana creature or ramping. On turn 2, you maybe have a 2/2. But on turn 3, when you play this, you're not obviously going to be able to activate the ability. So on your next turn, on turn 4 of all turns, you're going to be able to regenerate most likely a 2/2.
1 creature.
Yeah.
This is what, turn 4 at best. I don't.
There's nothing there.
There's nothing here. It's a nothing deck with a very beautiful man at the lead, but
if you're doing Beard Tribal, Ragnar is actually the commander you want to go for.
Yeah, no, Ragnar. If we're rating commanders solely on Beard, definitely up there.
Up top 5.
Up top 5 for sure.
Nethroi, Apex of Death.
Just a wow commander.
Wow.
2 white, black, green, legendary creature, cat, nightmare beast, 5/5 with mutate for 4. We're gonna do a green or white mana, black, death touch and lifelink. Whenever this creature mutates, return any number of target creature cards with total mana power. Total power 10 or less. I can't read today. From your graveyard to the battlefield. This card is wild, actually.
It does so much. With the combo with Skyclave Demon, where you can get an additional 20 power out of it.
Skyclave. It's not Skyclave Demon, is it?
It is.
I don't think it's called that. It's something.
We have it in our collection.
We have it. It's somewhere. Elishnorn. It's 2 power.
Right back, yeah.
2 power to the battlefield. If you can get enough cards in your graveyard fast enough, this performs every time. I love this commander. I think it's really powerful, really fun, really flavorful for the plane it comes from, and you don't see a lot of Reanimator decks in this color combination.
There's Carador.
Carador is good.
Yeah, but aside from that, a lot of +1/+1 counters, and of course, when you're scraping the bottle of +1/+1 counter decks, you gotta bring up Dagathar the Adamant.
Dagathar the Adamant.
4 mana, honorary 4/4. It's a 0/0, but it enters with 4/+1 counters on it. It has vigilance, and you can pay 1 and 2 hybrid of black and green to choose a creature you have with a +1 counter on it and move it on to another creature.
That's onto a second target creature.
Yeah, exactly. It has to be a different creature than that.
It's bad.
It's real bad.
I
don't know what they were thinking.
You get 4 1/1 counters.
This isn't the same.
Move other 1/1 counters.
This isn't the same pot as Tassiger and Alicia who smiles at death. This is hot garbage.
Yeah, this commander isn't doing anything.
He's not a leader.
He's not a leader. He barely feels adamant.
Yeah, he's
you could be, I don't know what you're moving, a single +1/+1 counter to
for
do
3 mana.
For 3 mana.
It's if you got hardened scales and stuff, and you're multiplying those +1 counters every time bully to you, but you're not really gaining any value for 3 mana. You're not fooling anyone with that.
Not at all. I don't like this commander. I don't think it does anything.
It doesn't. Speaking of commanders who do everything, though,
Wow.
Elsha of the Infinite.
Mm-hmm.
2 blue, red, white, 3/3 with prowess. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast the top card of your library if it's a non-creature, non-land card, and you may cast it as though it had flash. Wow, 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 wow.
The prowess is huge in the deck. It essentially draws you an extra card with the ability to look at the top card of your library. You can play artifacts, you can play control, you can do extra turns, you can do it all. Combos with Sensei's top beautifully. This card
just infinite and
is
scary.
insane. It is a fantastic CDH commander. It's a fantastic budget commander. It's a fantastic casual commander. It's the perfect Power 8 commander because of the options you have to build around it.
If you're going like prowess tribal, going Elsha of the Infinite is still like your best bet.
It's still gonna
just
be
being
great.
like the 1-2 punch kind of monk gameplay you want, where you cast a bunch of spells and slap them in the face with it. Oh, it's so fun.
She is just an insane card with insane abilities. Storms off so quick. I have a friend who had this commander for the longest time, and it was a monster to play against.
It hits you out of nowhere.
It does.
It is terrifying.
All it takes is a few combo pieces, and you're going through your whole library faster than the speed of light.
Then we got Nostra voice.
Nostra voice of.
So much could have made this a good creature.
1 blue, red, white, legendary creature, Chimera. Tap it. Choose 1. X is the number of spells you cast this turn. Scry X. Nostril, voice of Crags, deals X damage to target creature, or you gain X life. It's 3/3. It's fine. It's a Storm commander. You'll get some value.
Cool.
Scrying X is not that good. Maybe it's if you scryed X and then if X was more than 10, you draw those cards instead. That would be wildly good. Maybe too good.
We were talking about this creature earlier, but with like Treasonous Ogre, the life gain part is a little relevant.
Yeah.
But aside from that, this creature is not even going to show up in your 99.
No. I mean, if the damage ability did it to players as well, that might be a little.
Then this would be a really
something.
cool build around. Be grape shot on a creature, pretty much.
It's not good. If it had haste, maybe, but that's a lot of maybes. It doesn't have these things. It's cool. It's not going to be particularly powerful, but it might be fun.
There's a lot of flavor that could have been there that just didn't make it to the card.
I just don't think it's very good. It's the least interesting Storm Commander.
Ooh. Muldrotha the Gravetide. This is a wild one.
Mm-hmm.
It does everything for nothing. It's Crucible of Worlds on a creature. It's got reanimation spells built into it. This is just play your deck twice.
Muldrotha the Gravetide. 3 black, green, blue legendary creature, elemental avatar. During each of your turns, you may play a land and cast a permanent spell of each permanent type from your graveyard. 6/6, passes the vanilla test. It is so wild. This commander is so fun, and there's some stiff competition in this color combination.
Yeah, I think we brought it up earlier. Yarok.
I have the same friend who played Elsha, plays Yarok.
Yarok is just a nutty commander.
Is a nutty commander. I think this might be better, though.
This is a little better than Yarok, only because when things go to the grave in Yarok, you know it's staying in the graveyard for a little bit at least.
This card creates value so quick. The second it hits the field, it's must kill. If you didn't counter it, you could be losing the game.
And there's a really good pattern about good commanders that you're always getting value out of the cards you've already played. Muldrotha, you're casting that stuff from your graveyard the same way that like Brago and Yarok kind of double those ETB triggers. You're still doubling them with Muldrotha just after you cast that spell again. That's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
Because sometimes with those cards, you don't want to draw more cards at that second. Like, you do the majority of the time. But if you have, per se, a ensnaring bridge out and you're trying to go for a more controlling game plan, you want to be able to control when you want that second ETB trigger. And that's part on Muldrotha, the subtext of if a card has multiple permanent types, choose one as you play it.
It's big.
If you run artifact creatures and creatures, it's gonna go pretty fast.
Yeah, and it's so powerful.
So good.
It's so good. And then for our worst in this color combination,
I know I put it as the worst, but I thought about it so much and I really want to build him.
We'll get into that. Brokos, Apex of Forever. 2 black, green, blue with a mutate cost of 2. blue or black, green, trample. You may cast Brokos Apex up forever from your graveyard using its mutate ability. It's a 6/6. Gabe, you have an idea for a build around?
I do. So I was talking about elf cards during our little run through, but then I saw just a caption for something on EDH Rec that got the gears spinning. This is an infect commander.
Yeah.
Putting this on any infect creature is just game ending right off the bat. Mm-hmm. You are making on turn 4 usually you are going to be playing it for its mutate cost. You're going to have like a Glistening Elf or whatever it's called.
Glistener Elf.
Yeah, Glistener Elf or a Blighted Agent, and you're going to be making a 6/6 with possibly Trample. And that's a lot to deal with early from an infect creature.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to get around it too fast. And although this is the worst Sultai commander, there aren't that many bad Sultai commanders.
There aren't too many Sultai commanders in general.
This is the worst gameplay-wise, but you can still do fun stuff with it.
Yeah, it can be an infect commander, I guess. It's perhaps not your best infect commander, but it's an interesting one. It's a super interesting
It's one
build.
that people won't see coming. And of course, you're going to have that Rule 0 telling you're going to tell them you're playing infect, but, if you can sneak it in there.
If you can sneak it in there.
It's going to be pretty fun to play.
Exactly.
Marchesa showing up once again on our list.
Yeah.
You got a 1 mana red, white, black for a 3/3 with Death Touch and Haste. When Queen Marchesa enters battlefield, you become the Monarch. At the beginning of your upkeep, if an opponent is the Monarch, create a 1/1 black assassin creature token with Death Touch and Haste. You got a Queen, you got the assassins, you're just making little copies of her every turn pretty much. Mm-hmm. This takes over the game.
Yeah, she's a 3/3, by the way, and the Monarch is one of the most fun mechanics ever printed in Magic.
Some people start with it at the table.
Yeah, it's so good in Commander, and her ability to create 1/1 black assassin creature tokens with Death Touch and Haste
in no way irrelevant.
It's huge.
It takes over.
Fantastic blockers, potential to swarm the board if left unchecked. You're drawing cards. You have potential removal on your field. You have ways to get back the Monarch, and then you can make deals to lose it. She is the pinnacle of politic commanders. Super fun.
There's just so much you can do with her as a commander that, like, really, when it comes down to when she hits the board and you start making those fun deals with everyone at the table, the game just gets a little more fun. I've sat down at some LGSs where the game is actually silent until a card that brings the Monarch into play comes into play. Because some people just sit down and they're just playing to win, and they're just waiting for, like, their order to get pulled or something. Mm-hmm. And they're not looking for a good time. They just want to try out a deck that they maybe put together the night before, like a scrap binder deck. And then you start pulling out these little fun mechanics, and people start to open up a little more. It just becomes a more fun environment.
I'd say Queen Marchesa, it's not only powerful, but makes the game more fun.
It's a fun commander to play against, I will say.
Exactly. For the worst, we have Jarina Kudro.
Oh, a joke in the commander community, this one is.
1 red, white, black, legendary creature, human soldier, 3/3. When Jarina Kudro enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token for each time you've cast a commander from the command zone this game. Other humans you control get +2/+0. Mostly just an Anthem effect.
It is nothing but an Anthem effect. Wow, just...
How many times are you playing your commander throughout the game? I think EDH Rec did a video about the average amount of times you cast your commander
like
from the command zone.
2.3 probably.
It's like, I think it's less than that. I think it's like 1.8 or something. It's some lower number than you'd expect.
The higher end of your deck is the less times you're going to cast it, 'cause it's going to stick. With Jarina, in a 3-color deck, you're not recasting your commander the majority of the time.
You're gonna use... If you cast her 3 times throughout the game, you're getting 3 soldiers, but you've sunk 18 mana into the card.
Wow. That's
and the payoff is +2/+0 and a few white.
Other humans, in fact.
Yeah, you don't even get +2/+0 for her.
She's still gonna be a 3/3.
not even a +2/+2 boost. She's
For 10 mana and 3/1/1 white humans, she's gonna be 3/3. That makes 3 ones.
She's just not worth it at all. Not for the mana cost you're paying, not for the anthem effect you get, not even for the ability she presents. She's I would
like
classify
R&D, we love you sometimes, but this was just a failure.
Some of these commanders we've talked about today at least are interesting. This is just bad and not fun.
This is bad design at its worst.
Yeah. And this was the face commander of the precon.
I know, yeah, and every other card in the precon was actually interesting.
Yeah,
That's the funny thing about it.
Gross.
Got Calamax the Storm Sire, another precon
Lightning
legend.
Butt himself.
Yeah, Lightning Butt himself.
1 green, blue, red, legendary creature, elemental dinosaur. Whenever you cast your first instant spell each turn, if Calamax the Storm Sire is tapped, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. Whenever you copy an instant spell, put +1/+1 counter on Calamax. I love this commander.
It's so
deeply.
fun.
So fun, so flavorful. Definitely the best of the commanders that were released in those precons.
It really was. There's not too much.
Yeah.
I won't even contest
Attack
that.
with him, deal a ton of damage, use other abilities to tap him down, strategically choose which instant you're playing first each turn. This card is powerful, but it's not broken. You have to make a game plan, and you have to
If it was
stick
instant
to
and
it.
sorcery, this would just be the extra turns commander that
Yeah,
everyone will
but
play.
no, this is just instant.
But this is fixed. This is a good card.
I love this card. I intend to build this deck soon.
Oh,
Yes.
I look forward to that one.
I look forward to it too. I love this
we
card.
got the worst Teamer commander, which is by no means a bad card. There's just not enough support for it to actually work as anywhere but in your 99.
Yeah.
We got Averna Chaos Bloom, a staple in
Yidris.
Maelstrom. Yeah, Yidris and Maelstrom Wanderer decks. But this is as a 3 mana 4/2, red, blue, green. As you cascade, you may put a land card from among the exiled cards onto the battlefield tapped. It's good, it's ramp,
It saves land cards from being exiled.
Yeah, it gets you nowhere.
There's just not enough support in the 99, and I don't want to see more support in the 99. Cascade is a
I don't want
broken
more
mechanic.
Cascade.
If this becomes a good commander, we have gone so deep in the Cascade hole that the entire format is warped around it. I don't want to see that.
When they made the first sliver, I did shed a little tear.
The first sliver, this is so good in that deck.
I was playing Brawl last night, the 99 card Brawl on Arena, and I was playing against that with my Orvar deck.
Mm-hmm.
And I got down to 1 life and gained control of everything he had, and then I started playing the Sliver deck. And oh boy.
I don't like slivers.
But not cascading into slivers is funny with
It's
I play Orvar, and Orvar is a sliver. So
it's such a mediocre card on its own. I don't want to see support for it, and as it stands, it doesn't do enough to make it good.
Yeah. 4 and up, we're rearing the end of the video. If you've made it this far listening to it, thank you so much. And make sure, if you want to build any of these decks, just go to EDH Rec, go to your local game store, ask around word of mouth style. There's always Lotus Field, which is a little harder to use, but still a really good source for that kind of stuff.
And if you're local to Portland like us, check out Red Castle Games if you're looking for any of the singles, Guardian Games, Mox Boarding House. These are all fantastic local businesses with some of the best employees I have ever met.
And remember, if you're buying collections on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, or anywhere, meet them at a local game store. Why not? Maybe get in a few games, just strike up conversation, just build a good community in your area.
Exactly.
First up, we got Brea.
Talking
about things that would break the community. Oh, Brea, when she was released.
This is the only commander in this color combination that isn't a partner. We're not doing partners. That is another episode.
That is actually next week's episode. If y'all want to check that one out.
Okay, so Brea, Ethereum Shaper, white, blue, black, red for a 4/4 legendary artifact creature human. When she enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 blue thought creature tokens with flying. Tap 2, sacrifice 2 artifacts, choose 1. She'll deal 3 damage to target player or planeswalker. Lightning bolt them. Target creature gets -4 to end of turn, or you gain 5 life. This card is wildly good.
It's toolbox on a card. It's
in another world, this was the artifact commander I chose.
I think it'd probably be the one we'd both be running.
She is pure value. She does a lot. I don't think she's broken. A lot of people have argued with me about that. I don't think she's
It's what
very
you
broken.
run. It's the colors that it gives you for being an artifact deck that it allows you to run all 4 of those colors without green. And green is the least important color when it comes to artifacts, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, I don't...
And you just run all the combos, you run all the Esper stuff, then you got the red for red.
Yeah, she creates artifacts to sacrifice when she ETBs, so immediately you're getting value from her. I love this card.
It's a really fun card.
I won't build it, because I don't build 4-mana commanders, but I love it.
But if you do, Freya's the one to go. And we got Yidris. We spoke about this one roughly 3 minutes ago, but Yidris Maelstrom Wander is blue, black, everything but white.
Yeah.
And it's a 5/4 with trample, and when it deals combat damage to a player, as you cast spells from your hand this turn, they gain Cascade. So, when you Cascade into a card, that card won't gain Cascade. But no matter how many spells you play from your hand, they're all going to have Cascade. And if Yidris, God forbid, gets Double Strike, that is the end of the game right there. You are cascading into every single little nook and cranny of your deck until all of your 99 is on the battlefield. And I know I said 99 lands you can't cascade into, but your deck is going to run everything that could get those lands into play, and you're going to win right off of one attack.
Such a wild card. Good stats, too. 5/4 for 4.
With trample.
Really passes
A
the
vanilla
test.
all-star, yeah.
It's such a good build around. It's such a fun deck. It is the only non-partner commander in this color identity, but it is wild.
It would still be the best.
Yeah, I can't see a better one.
Yeah, Saskia the Unyielding, the little overshadowed of all of these 4-color commanders, but still fun when it hits the battlefield. 2016 was kind of like the golden age of Commander, in my opinion. A lot was going on there. That was like when LGSs were like booming Commander-wise, at least. It probably will be after quarantine and stuff, but until then, we're all still gonna have to like play in small groups and online. And this card, you might want to play it.
Saskia the Unyielding, black, red, green, and white legendary creature, human soldier, vigilance, and haste. As Saskia the Unyielding enters the battlefield, choose a player. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, it deals that much damage to chosen player. She is a 3/4. She's actually quite a good commander.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it's a very
unpopular but really cool.
It's very peak 2016 commander. You don't see combat damage as a win con anymore, as much anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I like this commander quite a bit.
There's so much you can do with just little combat tricks, getting in extra bits of damage, and the fact that there's one less person to attack. The same with that they kind of reprinted her in a weird way with that 2-mana red lizard that's the partner from Commander Legends, where whenever you deal combat damage with a commander, it deals that much damage to each other.
Yeah, what's that card called again? Kess or something like that?
Yeah, Kess the Ember.
Kethis? It's something with a K.
Like that, yeah. It's like, I have it in Rogue Rack. It's the little guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a fun card. There's not even too much to say about it. You're just gonna have fun playing it.
It's a fun commander.
Ooh, the first that has competition, and of course because it is Group Hug, it got knocked out of the competition.
Yeah. Omnath, Locus of Creation, red, green, white, blue, legendary creature, elemental. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. Wild already. Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 4 life. If this is the first time this ability has resolved this turn, if it's the second time, add red, green, white, blue. If it's the third time, Omnath deals 4 damage to each opponent and each planeswalker you don't control. It's a 4/4. It's wild. This card is too much in standard.
If you run fetch lands, this is just automatically a god tier command.
Yeah, no. You have access to every fetch land in the game.
Do you have Evolving Wilds?
It's suddenly good. It's so wild. This card draws you a card.
It replaces itself and then replaces its mana cost later in the card.
Probably on the same turn. If we're being honest, probably on the same turn. When you're
playing this, it will be on the same turn.
I dread the day when 5-color Omnath is printed.
I know, it's coming. We know it's coming.
Yeah.
God, is it going to just be able to reanimate itself? Is that going to be what the last land
when a land enters the battlefield, you Venmo each opponent Venmos you $5.
And then you go to your local game store and buy another Omnath Locus of Creation, put it into play.
Exactly. And then take it away with the worst one.
Sad seeing these little beautiful gay boys as the worst ones, but they are a fan favorite. They're just Group Hug, and Group Hug is undoubtedly one of the most hated, I guess.
I like it.
I like and dislike it. I like the idea of Group Hug, but when it's in play and you're just accelerating the best player at the table, then it just feels gross. Kineos and Terrace Amelitus is red, green, white, blue, much like Omnath. And it's a 2/8, so big butt.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning of your end step, you draw a card. Each player may put a land card from his or her hand onto the battlefield. Then each opponent who didn't draws a card. This card was designed for these two kings because they are dirtily beautiful, and they will make everybody love them. But they just can't end the game.
Yeah, this deck definitely struggles with finishing out games. You're in a good color combination, but where this card truly shines is true Group Hug decks, unlike Group Hug commanders like Braids.
Yeah.
This is a commander you're going to actually play when you just want to have a fun time and you want to support your fellow players and just see what their decks can do, and just have fun doing it. I love this card. It's just strictly worse than Omnath.
Went into Atraxa, Praetor's voice. If she forgot the red, she dropped it down in the vault, whatever happened in the story. But it's a 4-mana 4/4, green, white, blue, black, flying, vigilance, death touch, lifelink, every planeswalker's wet dream here. This is, at the beginning of your end step, you proliferate, the game is over.
This card is stupid. I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
It's unfortunately the only non-partner color combination card in this color combination.
But then the one that is Thrasios and Tymna.
Thrasios and Tymna.
That's a good testament to how bad this color combination is, and nobody should play.
No, this card is too much. It's the de facto commander. A lot of people think it's the most powerful one. I don't agree with that. However, this card closes out games so quick. Planeswalker is fantastic.
Oh my, the phone.
It's fantastic. Infect Tribal, people do that. It
may
counters.
As well have Infect, honestly. Like, I don't even care. Just throw it on Atraxa at this point.
Why not? I think this card's
let's say whenever you proliferate, choose one of each counter on that and double that counter.
Why not? Might as well.
Just
moving on.
Now we got 5 color. The best one, Golos Tireless Pilgrim. I honestly love and hate Golos.
Yeah.
There's too much to this card, but too much to mess around with too. You can do Shrine Tribal on Arena, on Magic Arena, woohoo. In the 99 card Brawl, I do Golos Shrine Tribal as one of my main decks.
Yeah. 5 mana, colorless. Golos Tireless Pilgrim is a legendary artifact creature scout. When he enters the battlefield, you may search your library for any land card, put it on the battlefield tap, then shuffle your library, and then the cream of the crop ability: 2 white, blue, black, red, green, exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play them this turn without paying their mana cost. This card's wild. You fill it full of ramp and fatties, and just the value creates itself.
That phone is having a day today.
This is my phone. I can't find a good place to put it. We're a little cramped in our office space. He's a 3/5. Forgot to mention that. Just go get a Gaia's Cradle if you have it. We don't, but just go get a Gaia's Cradle.
You're gonna get half of your Cabal's coffers with this one.
Yeah, there's a mono black Golos deck that Gabe
I love it.
Loves it. I think it's really cool.
I've never played it, and I've seen it like only a few times, but every time I do see it, it puts a big smile on my face.
Yeah, it's one of the greatest commanders ever printed. I don't play 5 color commanders.
Nor do I. We are men of simple needs.
I like the restriction, and this card does everything, and does everything well.
And speaking of one who can contest everything, Progenitus, YY, blue, blue, black, black, red, red, green, green. It's a 10/10 for 10. It's
protection from everything.
You can't equip it, you can't target it, your opponents can't do the same. But that's where it starts to become a headache, because there's no way to really close out a game with Progenitus that won't be 3 turns. This is
3 hits to kill with commander damage. It's not
unless
good.
You can give it double strike and have an Anthem that gives everything +1/+1, which is the ideal build around to this card. It's not happening.
By the time you have 10 mana in play, you should have won.
You should have done more than 10 damage.
Put Progenitus into 99 of Golos, so not bad.
Really not bad. When you put it in any when you put it in any 5-color deck, that has what's the green sorcery that sacrifices a green creature and searches for one?
I don't remember.
Nature something. Nature order, natural order.
Natural order.
Natural order.
It's two colorless and 2 green.
Yeah, 2 green. Sacrifice a green creature, search your library for any green creature, and put it into play. You can do that with Progenitus. It's a really good combo with Progenitus. I mean, but aside from that,
even when you do play Progenitus, it's not winning you the game. I would argue that there's
so many better.
I would argue that it's a bad card. I think it's a bad card.
No, it's undoubtedly a bad card. Just trying to make it work. That's what you got to do with it.
Yeah, you can try. I'm seeing
Find
decks.
a way to get Progenitus in your hand, shuffle it into your library, and then
I've seen this deck before, and I've seen it come out, and the second it hits the field, it proceeds to do nothing. People will attack one player, and then that player will immediately lose. It's quite bad.
And don't go anywhere just yet, I guess, is... This was for the last time. We had some packs to open, but instead we're just going to use this time as like a little... Thank you for listening this far. We're a little rusty. We haven't really done this before. Yeah. We've done this episode once before, but now it's actually going to be saved. It's out in the world. Share it with your friends, your family who play Magic, the girl you want to impress, the guy who really doesn't want to be... He's a nerd. She's a nerd. Everyone who's a nerd, watch this, please.
Yeah, we appreciate you watching this today and taking the time out of your busy schedule to, indulge in our nerdiness. Stay tuned for plenty more episodes. We're just getting going, and it'll only get better from here. Our setup, our mic situation. We only have 1 pair of headphones. I can't even hear myself speaking right now.
It sounds pretty good.
I would hope so. Yeah, we appreciate all of you being here today and taking the time. We look forward to future episodes, and have a beautiful day.
See you later, Planeswalkers.